Good evening on this Super Bowl Sunday. Got a new hand to go over, similar to some of the other ones. So, pocket sevens, we're on the button, a mid position player, technically mid position, but we're playing six handed right now at a full ring game. So, he opened races at 3.5 big blinds, fairly large size for a raise. Looking at his stats, mid position player, he's raised his first in 26%, 12 out of 46. He's played 23%. It does look like he might be getting some better cards. Maybe he does loosen up a little bit in the later positions. However, the button's still only 15%. He hasn't limped. That's noticeable. He could call 1 out of 10, and he's called a 3-bet 50% of the time. So I set up a range like this, 21.3%. It's probably a little bit wide. Might be a little bit better to keep some more hands in his range and then narrow them down as the hand plays out. So that's his range. It's on me. I'm on the button. I have this calling range versus mid position. So you can see pocket sevens is, the bottom pocket pair. Could raise, but I looked at both these players. This player's pretty tight. This player, only 16 hands. He's only called 2-bet, one time, 1 out of 5. So even if I call, if one of these players calls, I'm in good position. I have the best position at the table right now. So I did call, and then small blind called, and he's not going to see the rest of the hand, but I think this small blind's playing something like this. He could have raised. Definitely skeptical whether or not he has these suited aces. He plays 13-10, but when we look at his ranges, it's notable to see that the blinds, he's played a lot of hands. So this is a player that might be tight, except when he's in the blind, and then he feels like he already has money in there. He's getting a decent price. He's going to pay to see it. Definitely with the small blind, that could have been limping. So when he called the 2-bet, this is the first time he did that. So if we were, if we think he is super tight, I would get rid of these suited aces and probably the suited gappers and just say versus a 2-bet, this player is probably just set mining, playing something like this. So he calls, big blind folds, and we see a flop of ace 4-2. Now we do have this third person in our hand, so we have to be aware of him, but I kind of think he's probably playing something like this pocket pair, so I'm not too worried about him at this point, especially on this board. Villain 1 leads out. He leads out about 40% of the pot. I think he probably leads with all of his aces. His c-bet stats out of position 67%. So he usually c-bets. I could think, ace is. I think with this board, he's probably c-betting almost all of his hands to try to represent that ace. If someone calls, then if he doesn't have the ace, he's probably just going to slow down. So I think with that reasoning, that he isn't typically not, he doesn't c-bet all the time, but I think he's probably representing an ace on this board. I think we could call. This player folds. Could we raise it? Maybe. I think we raise it. It does put him in a difficult position, but we're raising into 2 other players, and we don't know what villain 3 is going to have. If he is set mining, he might have a 4 and hit it, or if he had any of those suited aces, he has an ace, and he'd just be check calling. And I think here, I just called here because if he does have one of those suited aces, he's going to call, and then I'm just going to be done with the hand unless I spike a 7. Not worried about any of the other 7s because I have the 7 of spades. 9 comes out. Villain leads for 3/4 pot, and it's on me, and what do? I folded because I felt, he bet 40%, and then he sized up. It just seems like he does have the ace, and I'm not going to chase here. So I want to check out, what does GTO suggest? And especially on this villain too, because he's not too far off from I think a raising range that I would have. So if I was raising from mid position, raise first in, I am raising something like this, a little bit tighter, but I do think this is a board where I would probably see bet 100% because the ace is so likely to hit me, and it's unlikely to hit anybody else on the hand. Yeah, spades are gonna call, but I don't expect some of the smaller pocket pairs to call. So, like king queen, king jack, I'm probably getting, picking up those pots on fold. So I put it in. I did adjust the tree a little bit. So I did set up he would bet 40%. And then on the turn, whatever the turn card is, he would go ahead and bet 3/4. And then I assume, since he's sizing up, that on a river, he'd probably bet full pot. Full pot. And I've left mine at 75% default raises. So Dylan is going to be betting 61% of the time. He is betting almost all of his aces. I'd say pocket aces. He doesn't bet here. And that's kind of interesting. I guess with pocket aces, you're thinking about 3 aces are gone, only 1 ace is left. So what kind of hands are players going to call? I think, by checking, it checks behind. It may encourage kings, queens, jacks to call for a turn bet. So I'm guessing that's why, with the pocket aces, we've got 3 out of 4 locked up. It's unlikely any of the other aces are going to call. Ace, king, ace, queen, we're betting strictly for value, or he's betting strictly for value. You can see now he's kind of introduces a mixed strategy when you have the mid kickers. The ace 5, ace 6, and so forth. 2 pairs are going to be betting. Hopefully it's for value. You're hoping ace king, ace queen comes along, or somebody raises you. King queen's betting. It's kind of what I expected. These high cards, king jack, king 10. Now you're betting the backdoor flush draws, and again, there's a lot of value to those. You could be you wouldn't do king 10 of clubs, or let's say king 9 of clubs. There's no backdoor there. You're just strictly bluffing, and I don't think you really want to do that. You typically just want to be betting. So if called, you do have some outs. And I know I'm guilty of this. I'm guilty of betting these. And while it's wrong GTO, according to GTO, it's playing a more exploitative type of play. We think players are overfolding, so now we can start betting some of these hands just as a bluff because we think players are going to be folding. But against a GTO player, they're normally not going to be betting those types of hands. These low cards are also going to be betting, so I'm sure these are betting for your backdoor straight potential. You have some backdoor flush potential as well. You've got your gut shot with the 3s, you've got your gut shots with the 5s. 5, 6, you're looking at gut shots. 7, 5, you're looking at gut shots. Catch the 6, now you can have an even better straight. So I think his play should make sense. Now he bets, and now it looks like I am calling quite a bit. 74%. We're raising 1%. We're raising ace queens. Small amount of ace queens. These are the hands that we're raising. Sometimes raising. I think, at these limits, probably don't even need to raise. Those are just going to be strictly bluffs. Well, 9s, you're trying to get some of the bigger cards, maybe like an ace 10, ace jack to fold, maybe. Because I can't imagine worse hands calling, unless like a king queen of spades calls. Then they still have, flush draw, and they have overcards to catch to beat you. at least on the nines. Looks like you've got a nine of spades that you're betting. Even the tens. So you've got at least a spade blocker. But let's go back to my call. Sevens. Where I have spade and diamond. So spade and diamond, definitely 100% call. We block a spade. We have a diamond, blocker diamond for that backdoor diamond draw as well. Kind of blocks the backdoor draws that villain was betting, like king, queen, king, jack type hand. So I'm glad with this call. I'm glad I made this call. I think it's another reinforcement not to get overly aggressive here with pocket sevens. And really, on our calling range, we don't really have anything to represent big hands. Like we wouldn't have aces because we would have 3-bet them. You wouldn't think fours and twos. You wouldn't think 3-5. Maybe king queen suited. I mean, they're in our calling range, but you raise it and villain 3-bets us. We're not going to be doing too happy because we have to think we now need to hit that flush. So it plays probably just to call, and then if villain checks us on the turn, then we can fire out a bet with our spades, and if he folds, great. We picked up that equity without having to actually make our hand. So we did call, and the board was the 9 of diamonds, and villain bets out 3/4 pot. Now it says he should be checking. So what hands is he betting? He's betting nines, or his pair nines now. 9-8 of spades, 9-7 of spades. So middle pair with the spade draw. Okay, we're betting 7-5. So we're not betting the spade, but we are betting the diamond. So they bet. We picked up backdoor flush draw. Now we bet again. So we picked up equity. I mean, if you think about reasons for firing that second barrel, we improved our equity by picking up equity outs, or we increase our fold equity based on that turn card, or our hand just kind of improved and we're betting straight for value. I think this is one where we've picked up equity outs. Fours, trip fours is still betting. Trip twos is betting. Ace king still bets for value. Ace queen now slows down. Ace queen, ace jack. I think these are somewhat interesting. I think I would have probably continued betting these. The ace queen, ace jack. We're going to check that. So if he checks, then let's say I just bet no matter what. What is villain going to do with his ace queen and ace jacks? He's raising them. So he's putting them into his check raise range to protect against those hands that like I would do is just go ahead and bet because your check indicates weakness. I do run into some players like this that'll do that to me. So, but it's rare. It's rare. So it looks like he's using those for check raising range. What other ones is he using for check raising range? The small aces, ace 6, ace 5. His 2 pair, ace 4, ace 2. They really? Yeah, though those that did check, he's going to be planning for the check raise. But ace 3, ace 5, ace 6, ace 7, ace 8, those are check raising up through ace 7, ace 6. Ace 7 and ace 8 looks like it's check fold most of them. If you've got the diamond draw, that's exception. That seems to be the same thing with ace 10. These king jacks though, queen jacks, unpaired broadways, looks like we are folding. Queens are check raising, and the queen jacks, these are spade draws. Yeah, queen jack, queen 10, check raising with the spade and the diamonds. Okay, so looks like we're barreling at a lower frequency than what we should be doing. And I guess a GTO player should be betting. So if he checks, we should really only be betting ace queen, non-diamond. And note that it's a non-diamond flush because we don't want to bet and face that check raise, because we're going to be behind to those two pairs, to those better kickers, ace king, that's in there. And I've run into those. Ace jack just calls or check behind. So yeah, we're gonna be betting somewhat. This is a mixed strategy here. The nines, I think we're using those nines to mix it up, kind of slow play some of them with the trip nines, trip eights. So let's do this. We're gonna check with those. Let's give it a let's just give it a two hearts, because he had a bunch of those hands that was checking. He's now gonna be betting all of his aces. He bets, and now we can raise our nines. And he should be calling with all of his aces versus the bets. Let's see here. The bets, he raises, we still call with the nines. So I think with the nines, we're guarding against this scenario where we get all in, and if we get all in, we're either way behind or he has equity outs on us. He's got those flush draws. All right, so how did I actually play? So he bet, and now it's up to me. And yeah, the hand didn't improve us. I really do think his bet is representing a solid ace. That's kind of what I read him for. I guess he could have had picked up the diamond draw and is betting again, but would he really have bet 3/4 pot? I don't think so. I think 3/4 pot is betting to try to get people to fold. So his hand might not actually be like ace king. And I don't think a lot of players play with the ace queen, ace jack as checks here, or check raises. I think they lead for bets, and I think if he's leading for more bets with these aces, I think that's even more reason for us to go ahead and fold these under pairs. Fold sevens, fold eights. You can probably fold tens, and possibly even jacks. Like fold all your under pairs, and really only call then with ace queen, ace jack. I think if I had ace queen, ace jack, I'd call. And then if he fires out another bet for pot, I would have still called ace queen, ace jack. If he checks, we're betting those. That's interesting. I think I might have. I don't know if I would have gone for that value. I think that's a spot where I probably would have missed. I would have thought, I've got top pair, second kicker. I've got some value here. Seeing the hand, I don't want to bet and face an all in and have to fold it. I've got some showdown, but maybe the showdown is more with other one pair hands. If I happen to have those weaker aces. Let's switch this out. So that was a two hearts. Let's put like a 6 of diamonds. So the backdoor flush got there. He's still betting. He's got flushes. He's betting top pair plus basically, and middle pair. So middle pair plus. So if he bets, we are now looking at basically calling trip nines. We're not raising. We're not raising at all. Even our flushes, we're not raising. I guess with that, we're not raising that because we don't. If we raise, I doubt how many hands are actually going to call. I think a flush is going to call probably. But if we have the flush, yeah, if we have the nut flush, then he doesn't have the nut flush. And would he really call, a king queen, let's say, or 7-5? I don't know. He could fold, so the bet isn't really for value. Definitely, if we come over the top, I think sets could potentially fold. You really have to know your player. What if we do a heart instead? So now that's a 6 of hearts. Villain's still betting sets and top pair. I guess for GTO play, he doesn't really. Well, not the 6 of hearts. I wanted the 6 of spades. Sorry. Yeah, top pair plus. I was looking for the flush. Still, same type of hands we're calling. Top pair plus, sets and flush, not raising flushes. Our flushes are king, queen, queen, jack. And what hands could conceivably call us? So this could just be a call. He bets. We get our 3 streets because villain bet for us. If you do think you're playing up against a guy or a gal that is always going to call because they just can't fold, then yeah, go ahead and raise. It might not be GTO, but it is exploitative. All right, so another pocket pair hand. I'm glad I called this. I do think he has villain is going to have a lot of cards in his range that he's betting with, because this is, it's a pretty dry board. It's hits his range harder than it hits mine. And I'm calling just to see if he bets again or if he calls. And he calls, he checks, and you can see that some of the time I'm going to be betting these hands once he checks, but as I should. But in this case, since he bet, we just dump it. All right, hopefully you enjoyed this. Look tomorrow for another.